Welcome to 8.6 factoring, and we're going to factor by grouping today. We're doing 8.6 before 8.5. 8.6 is harder, but once you have 8.6, then 8.5 is really easy. And 8.5 is just a shortcut that works sometimes. 8.6, what we're going to learn today, works every time, and it's very important that you master this technique. It'll open up a world of possibilities for you in the math realm. So it might seem daunting at first, but the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. All right, so we're going to dive right in here. Notice we have a trinomial. It has three parts, and our first question is, can we take anything out? Can we take a GCF out of here? We can't take any x's. We can't take any numbers. So we're kind of stuck, right? Now, when we're stuck, what we do is we're going to multiply the first number times the last number. So the highest powers coefficient times the constant, the one without an exponent. Okay, we're going to multiply them together. 3 times 2 is 6. And what we're going to do is we're going to find out we need numbers that multiply to get us to 6. Okay, so for example, 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so it's one of those two combinations. Which one is it? Well, it has to add up to this middle number here. Okay, so in our case, it has to add up to 7. Well, 2 plus 3 is 5, so that's not going to work. It's 1 and 6. Okay, so 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 plus 6 is 7. Okay, now what we're going to do is that instead of writing, we're going to rewrite this equation, but instead of writing 7x, we're going to split it up into 1x and 6x. Okay, so we're going to rewrite the equation, 3x squared. Okay, now instead of writing 7x, we're going to write 1x plus 6x. We kind of took the 7x apart, right? Because these are like terms, we could combine them back together and we get 7 again. But we essentially took this apart into 1 and 6. You'll see why in just a second. Okay. Now our next step here is we're going to group them. Okay, so we're going to take the first two pieces and put parentheses around them. We're going to take the last two pieces and put parentheses around them. And then we take GCFs out. Oops. We take a GCF out of each piece. Okay, so just this first term here, what can I take out? Well, I can take out an x and a 1 technically. I'm not going to write the 1. Okay, and what are we left with? Well, we took out an x here, so we're just left with 3x. And we took out this x, so we're left with 3x plus 1. Okay, now what can I take out of here? I can't take any x's, but they're both divisible by 2, so I can take out a positive 2. And then I'm left with 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, this is the key part. Okay, the key part is that these parentheses are the same. If they're not the same, you messed up somewhere. So go back and redo it. Okay, they have to be the same here. Okay, now this is our last step right here. We're going to put the pieces we took out, the GCFs, they go together in one set of parentheses. And then that common parenthesis, oops, that's not right. Oh, that's not good. There we go. Let's just erase it. My computer is being kind of goofy today. That's a 3. X plus 1. Okay, and this is our final answer. We factored it. This is what's the factored form. This is the factored form. Okay, so just a quick recap of our steps. We multiplied, well, first we asked, can we take anything out? There's nothing we could take out. We multiplied the first number times the last number. Okay, A times C is kind of what it's technically called. And we found factors of 6, 3 times 2 is 6, factors of 6 that add up to our middle number, which is positive 7. And we found 1 and 6. Then we split it up. So instead of writing 7x, we wrote 1x plus 6x. We drew parentheses. We grouped the first two terms and the last two terms. And then we took a GCF out of each piece. In this case, we took out an x. Here we took out a 2. We need to make sure that both of these are the same, they match up. And then our last step, that common one is one of our factors, and then the pieces that we took out is the other factor. Okay, so same process here. First, can we take anything out? The answer is no. So our next step is we multiply first times last. Now in this case, we have 2 times a negative 3, so we need factors of negative 6. And what do they have to add up to? You have to add up to a negative 1. Make sure you include your signs. They're very important. Okay, so factors of negative 6. 1 and 6, 2 and 3. And one of them has to be negative in order to get us the negative. Okay, they have to add up to negative 1. Well, these are 1 apart. I think these are going to be our winners. And which one? So we have 2 and we have 3. Now, as is, this adds up to 5, so that doesn't work. Also, this adds up to or this multiplies to positive 6, right? One of these numbers has to be negative. 2 minus 3 will get us a negative 1. And so our 3 is the negative 1. Okay, and that's just a little bit of guess and check. Okay, so our 3 in this case is negative because 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Otherwise, we'd get a positive 1 if it was negative 2. All right, now the next step. We rewrite the trinomial, except instead of writing negative 1x, we're going to write plus 2x minus 3x. Okay, we kind of undid it a little bit. Right? If we put these back together again, we're going to get negative x. And it's always good to kind of check yourself along the way. Put it back together. Does it work? Now our next step is to group. Group the first two, group the last two. Remember to get your sign inside the parenthesis. All right, what can we take out of the first piece? Well, we can actually take out a 2x. And we're left with, what? Just x plus 1. Okay, what can we take out of here? We can actually take out a negative 3. And we're left with x. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a positive 1. Again, these should match up, which they do. That's good. So we put together our first two pieces, 2x minus 3, and then that common parenthesis we put together. And there's our factored form. Okay, I'm going to skip around a little bit here. Actually, no, we'll go back. All right, so if we have the area of a rectangle, remember it's just base times height, or length times width, right? We're just multiplying these things together. We know one of them. We need to find the other one. Okay, how I would do this is I would just factor it like normal. Okay, 4 times negative 15 is negative 60. Oops, negative 60. Okay, they have to add up to what number? In this case, they have to add up to negative 7. We're basically factoring this out. One of our pieces we already know is going to be an x minus 3. Okay. Now, factors of negative 60 that add up to negative 7. Oofda. So we got 1 and 60. I always just make a list if I don't know. 2 times 30 is 60. 3 times 20 is 60. 4 times 15 is 60. 5 times 12 is 60. I'm looking for terms that are 7 apart. And this might be my winner. Because these are 7 apart. Now I have to get to negative 7. And so which of these has to be negative? If we do 12 minus 5, that's going to get us positive 7. So it's 5 and then negative 12 will get us to negative 7. 5 plus a negative 12 is negative 7. Okay, so we split it apart. 4x squared plus 5x minus 12x minus 15. Okay. Now, We group. It doesn't matter what order you put the 5 and the 12 in. You can switch them around if you want. A lot of people, once you start to get more advanced here, you start to pick up on things, such as 4 and 12 factor a little bit nicer than 4 and 5 do, right? And 5 and 15 factor a little bit nicer. It doesn't really matter, though. You're going to get the same answer either way. I tend to not really care. It's going to factor. So from here, what can I take out? I can't take out any numbers, but I can take an x. We get 4x plus 5. From here, what can I take out? I can take out a negative, 3? Which makes sense, right? X minus 3, x minus 3. So that's good. And we end up with 4x minus, plus 5. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 plus 5. Okay. Our last step is to put them together. X minus 3. Hey, x minus 3. We got it. And 4x plus 5. And so that's that missing one, 4x plus 5. Okay. The last one here, I might run out of time, but we'll squeeze in as much as we can. Okay, so we're going to multiply. First off, can we take anything out? Sorry, I jumped the gun. Can we take anything out? Yes, we can. We can take out a 2 from here. And then what are we left with? We're left with 15x squared plus 7x minus 4. Okay, that looks kind of similar to that, but it's not. All right, now the 2 just gets to hang out in front. Okay, don't worry about it. And now we're going to multiply the first and the last. We get negative 60. They have to add up to positive 7 this time. So we're actually going to use the same factors, right? Because 5 and 12 are 7 apart. Except this time 12 is going to be the positive one. And then you're going to have minus 5. Again, it doesn't matter what order you write them in. It just matters that the 5 is negative because this time we're trying to get a positive 7. Okay, we rewrite it. 15x squared. I'm going to do the minus 5x here. And then plus 12x. And then minus 4. Okay. Now, remember, the 2 just hangs out in front. And we group them. Yes, we have parentheses in our parentheses. It's fine. Just roll with it. What are we going to take out here? We can take out a 5 and an x, and we're left with 3x minus 1. Okay, what can we take out here? We can take out a 4, and we're a positive 4, and we're left with 3x minus 1. Okay. And then our last step is to put them together. 5x plus 4. And then 3x minus 1. And we're done. If you don't take out the 2 right away, and you just go straight to multiplying like I was going to do, that's fine. But when you get down to the end, you're going to realize one of them you can take a 2 out. So sometimes I prefer to just do it right away and then let the 2 follow you. Some people prefer to do it last. Whatever you're comfortable with. As you're starting out, I would recommend this way. And then as you get more comfortable, you can do it the other way. All right, that's 8.6.